Hi everyone, it's Az here from Heel vs. Babyface. Ncuti Gatwa has been fired as the Doctor from Doctor Who, but he hasn't been fired as the Doctor from Doctor Who. But he's leaving Doctor Who after 2 seasons to explore more work in Hollywood. However, no decision has been made on exactly the future of Doctor Who and Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. So really, what the hell is going on with Ncuti Gatwa and Doctor Who? Well, if you want to believe tabloid rag The Sun in the UK, a piece of paper which isn't worth putting onto my bottom when I go to the toilet, they say exterminated. Doctor Who's wokest ever lead star Ncuti Gatwa exits after just 2 series, with the show to be paused after ratings nosedive. Insiders believe a streaming giant, which is Disney. We all know it's Disney. They gave £100 million for the BBC to produce 2 seasons of Doctor Who, and then they air it on Disney Plus, and they get all the views, and nobody watched it because it's a big pile of... Anyway, which pumped in millions, will not renew its deal. Well, that seems to be the only thing that's actually real and true about what's going on right now. They do continue, though. Fans have turned off admit plot lines about incels and characters such as non-binary aliens. The news comes after Ncuti, 31, backed out of announcing the UK's jury scores in last weekend's Eurovision Song Contest, amid controversy among some at Israel's inclusion. Israel, of course, which has always been part of the Eurovision Song Contest anyway, but there's nothing like some goddamn film star or TV star or just Z-list celebrity deciding that they need to chime in on the political climate, because what somebody at their house really needs to hear is what Rylan has to say about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Yeah, not so much. Not so much at all. His withdrawal was incredibly embarrassing. It caps what has been a largely depressing tenure in the TARDIS for Ncuti. Well, there's no denying that Ncuti Gatwa's tenure as the Doctor has been embarrassing. I saw the first episode of his run. I saw the Christmas special from a couple of years back, or a year and so back, and it was terrible. It was literally unwatchable. For somebody that does videos on cringe TV, Batwoman, Robin in the Hood, Naomi, to name just a few, I couldn't even muster the energy to go past the first episode of Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor Who run. I knew exactly where it was going. I knew exactly the sort of plan that they had in action here, and it was a nosedive. Execs are likely to rest the 62-year-old show to consider who might revive its fortunes. Well, it's clearly not Russell T Davies, and it's clearly not the BBC. The BBC is now so far left, it doesn't even know what family entertainment is anymore, because if they think Doctor Who is a family show, then I've got some magic beans to sell you, that's for sure. It used to be a family show, and it used to be for everyone. Now it's just for a small proportion of the alphabet community that like to shove thumbs up people's asses. Insiders believe Disney Plus, which has pumped in millions, will not renew its deal. Why would it? Why would Disney renew its deal? Why would Disney give the BBC another 100 million to make another couple of series, or even 50 million to make another series, when they have carte blanche right now? They're the ones who get to air Doctor Who first on Disney Plus, and they can't pop a rating. Nobody is tuning in. And if it's anything to go by in the ratings of Doctor Who, the last time that it aired in America on what I would call a major network, it was already down to like 300 and something thousand views. So just exactly how many people do you think are going to tune in to some Z-list crappy streaming service that you have to pay for that is literally pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into shows nobody is watching, and then moving across money from the film side to the TV side in an effort to prop up the film side, which is failing miserably, which then makes them have to report on how the streaming side is failing miserably. But yeah, give them some more money. I'm sure it'll work out for them. One said it's unlikely we will see who Ncuti regenerate into, as the Beeb will keep options open. And if they do rest the show for years, it makes it virtually impossible to cast someone now. Well, this wouldn't be the first time that this has happened, of course. Sylvester McCoy didn't get to regenerate until the 1996 Doctor Who TV pilot / movie. It was a movie that was meant to be as a pilot for America to take over the Doctor Who franchise. It didn't work out for McGann, which is a shame because he's a phenomenal actor. But they did give him a little bit later on when Doctor Who was revived back in 2005 by Russell T Davies, and they were able to expand a little bit on some other aspects of the Doctor Who lore. But if they go and just have Ncuti Gatwa end, because I don't think they filmed a bi-generation. What the bi-generation? Just shut up. It's so on the nose and pathetic. This is the bi-generation. No, it's not. It's not. It's the same generation as every other generation. There's people that are normal and there's people that are not. It's as simple as that. But the point is, they're so desperate to groom is the best word I can use. They're so desperate to try and manipulate, to get into areas that they shouldn't be, that they use things like the BBC, they use things like entertainment, Disney, to push these ideologies, which the vast majority of normal people, because the vast majority of normal people are, checks notes, fucking normal, don't want these weirdos to be in. And so, no, there's no bi-generation. This is all fanfic, crazy ideological fanfic in Russell T Davies's broken head because he lives in so much of a bubble nowadays. It's not that at all. No, there's the regeneration of the Doctor, and William Hartnell was the first Doctor, and that's it. All this other stuff that's happened, all this stuff that Chris Chibnall brought in is nothing but shite fanfic. Shite BBC ideology, trying to push far leftism, trying to get rid of their embarrassing white history of Doctor Who. Shut up, fuck off, move on. Ncuti, who appeared with Millie Gibson as the Doctor's companion, Ruby Sunday, and returning showrunner Russell T Davies were announced with high expectations in 2022. Well, again, that's a little bit of a misnomer. When Russell T Davies was first announced to be returning to Doctor Who, there was a glimmer of hope. There was a glimmer of hope that he would actually be returning to correct the absolutely disgusting things that Chris Chibnall had done with, of course, the blessing of the BBC. It looked like control was being wrestled away with Bad Wolf Productions taking over, with Disney money coming in, and that would allow Russell T Davies to make these corrections and put Doctor Who back on course as he did back in 2005. Alas, no. He came to bury Caesar and not to praise him. And he was just another knife, probably et tu brute, that stuck into the back of Doctor Who. It's dead. It's over. I don't think there is a franchise as broken and dead as Doctor Who is. And we have things like Star Trek and Star Wars still around. But they, I think, have more chance of being turned around than this absolute pile of garbage that we have masquerading as Doctor Who. Then, a few hours later, other headlines started to come out through other publications saying that Doctor Who bosses set the record straight as fresh Ncuti Gatwa axe rumors emerge amid woke backlash. The BBC has confirmed that no decision has been made on the future of Ncuti Gatwa or Doctor Who as a whole ahead of the second season's finale later this month. Gatwa is reported to have been axed from Doctor Who just after 2 seasons, with the BBC also reportedly considering pausing the long-running sci-fi show following a significant ratings dump. Okay, this is now sounding very similar indeed. So let me take you back to, July of 2024, almost a year ago. Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor Who future after 2025 reportedly in doubt. Yes, this is an old rumor that we were discussing a year ago. It was already said that Ncuti could be on his way out of the TARDIS. Hollywood was calling to him, and he had decided, after seeing that Doctor Who was a sinking ship, and he had appeared in Barbie, and he was getting a couple of other roles, that this would be the perfect opportunity to just GTFO. After all, Ncuti can project as much as he wants, and he's exactly what Hollywood is looking for right now. A talentless, gay, ethnic person, which they can just pump into almost everything and go, yes, look at all these boxes that we're ticking. Because as much as some people want to praise his acting chops, he's brought absolutely nothing to Doctor Who whatsoever, apart from embarrassment and the fact that this doctor can't stop crying every 2 seconds because they believe showing tears and throwing water down a person's face is emotion, when it's not. Good acting can display much more emotion than the cheapness of just trying to pump out some tears. And when your go-to is to consistently cry every single freaking episode, it shows how little your range is when it comes to expressing these emotions. Matt Smith was an incredible doctor. He was so young when he took over the role, and yet he was able, at such a young age, to portray a man so advanced in years, thousands of years old. He could just appear to be that young shell that underneath housed everything that the Time Lord had gone through, every win, every defeat, every trauma, absolutely everything. He was a genius at doing that. The way that David Tennant, when he was a normal person once upon a time, was able to turn on a dime between that happy, jovial, go-lucky doctor and then the person that you would just run from, that person who would just, the oncoming storm, as it was said in Christopher Eccleston's era. But Gatwa brought nothing. Or every other iteration up to Jodie Whittaker, because she brought nothing as well. Peter Capaldi managing to turn some terrible scripts into absolute gold because he was such a good actor. But no, Hollywood seems like the perfect place for Ncuti to go to, and Doctor Who is on a highway to nowhere, an absolute dead end. So it would make perfect sense for him to leave the show after these 2 terrible seasons. After all, he won't likely be blamed for all of this. The blame will fall onto Russell T Davies, who will likely pass it on to Disney. Disney will pass it on to Doctor Who, to the BBC. So there'll just be a cacophony of blame going around, and everybody will just walk away and walk into new and different jobs because everybody fails upwards in these industries. But one thing is for absolute sure, and that is that the ratings of Doctor Who have never been so low. The first 5 episodes of this current season were the 5 lowest overnight ratings that there's ever been, with even the latest consolidated numbers managing to get to the lowest numbers of old Who's overnights, when the UK had 20 to 25 million less people living in it, when there were no streaming services to boost your shitty numbers, when there wasn't the promotional aspects that we have today with the internet and everything that surrounds that. No. It can barely do a rating better than that, even with consolidated. And the latest overnight, 2.57 million, was the only opportunity that the show really had to hit a really decent number, because the show was sandwiched between the FA Cup final and then the Eurovision Song Contest, both being huge rating draws. But even then, sandwiched between those two juggernauts, a lot of people just went, oh no, I'm not going to have that shitty Doctor Who on my TV. I'll just wait for the other show, the gay singing show, to go on later on. These rumors surrounding Ncuti Gatwa, as we've seen, have been around for almost a year now. And the conversation around the disillusion of the Doctor Who series, the sunsetting of it, the cancellation of it, seems almost inevitable and simply due to the ratings numbers. There's no way that the BBC can justify having a show in that time slot that brings in so few people. It's impossible. And in regards to Doctor Who being the BBC's biggest franchise, well, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about this anymore. Once upon a time, yes, but now, no. The only people that killed Doctor Who are the BBC, and they were complicit in it, and they happily did it. The thing that's annoyed them is that they can't push their ideology onto good, normal family folk that just want to be entertained. R.I.P. Doctor Who. You won't be missed. Not for a long, 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 long time. I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Bye for now.